Whoa! And there we are. Wow, you're way out of it.
Oh, really?
We should check that next time. Get one of the grips to take care of that. Ah!
What's up, David?
They can't hear you. Oh, yes they do. Oh, you turned on the mic?
Yeah,
I didn't turn on the mic, so.
What's up, David?
Puerto Rico.
Steven. Puerto Rico. What's up, John?
Dallas is checking in. Dennis is checking in. William.
Toluca.
Massachusetts, Illinois is in the house. What's up, dudes? Mr. Hi-Fi Vega is checking in.
What's up? David.
Nick Fontaine. I used to have an installer that worked for me with the same last name as Fontaine. And so every time I see his name, that always like
reminds me.
Yeah, I was always like, oh, hey, that. But good afternoon. Good afternoon. Hello, everyone. Lewis, what's
up, man?
From the other side of the world.
Yes.
Nebraska, New York, Arkansas, Athens,
Hi,
Akron,
Jen.
Northern Maine. Not just Maine, Northern Maine.
What's the
because it's colder.
Okay.
If that's possible.
Okay.
And remember, the United States stops right at Maine. It's not like Canada's above it or anything like that. It's just that's it. There's nothing past Northern Maine. Bioshock, okay. Hanging air filters. Oh, fun time.
Yeah.
Send me some sheets of plastic. Are you crazy? Plastic's expensive right now. That stuff is ridiculous. Dude, a quarter-inch sheet of plastic's like ABS is almost $100. That's ridiculous. Louisiana,
Got the
Portugal.
white stuff today. Oh wow, I didn't know you have those kind of things.
Were we just talking about Tommy?
Yeah.
I feel like we were just talking about Tommy, but we weren't really talking about Tommy.
But just the brand.
Yeah, I think we were talking about the brand, which automatically makes you think of Tommy.
Right, correct.
Oh yeah, it's because it's snowing up there. I mean, let's be honest, man. I don't care what you have to say about climate change.
Okay.
I'm not that guy. Like, I'm not a climatologist. I don't follow any of that stuff. But when you look at like what month it is right now, and like the fact that it's snowing in parts of this country, that just leads me to one thing. At some point, we are going to get a snowstorm here in Clearwater, Florida.
No.
And then when that happens, tell you right now, guys, just kiss it all goodbye, because there's nothing left. There is nothing left. Mr. Bill Freeman is in the house. I watched Sound of Metal last night. Conveniently enough, so did I. Thursday's going to be fun.
Tomorrow. Oh, wow. See?
And that's my point.
Exactly.
It's like it
that's
snows,
when I get sick.
and then it gets hot, and all the snow turns into water. All the water's got to go somewhere, and the only people making out in Michigan are the people that control basement moisture. You know, Washington State.
Washington State.
Hello from the Mile High City, Denver, Colorado. Hope all is well. All is okay, Andy. Let's just leave it at that. Let's not set the bar too high. All right, let's just go with okay, and we'll all kind of step away from it and just kind of look at it for a little bit and go, yeah, it's all right. But let's cut into this. Let's get to the point of this. Let's have some fun.
Yeah.
For those of you guys that have never tuned in before, thank you for joining us today. And for those of you who are back at it, thank you very much for sticking with us. This is like 6-7 years of doing this. This is the longest running show of internet car stereo, period. Meaning talk show like this, not show like pre-recorded. This is the longest running,
Facebook
Live style show like this. So
7 years, huh?
Yeah, it's ridiculous. I've lost track of the amount of episodes. I just don't care anymore because it's like no one's gonna beat us at this point unless we stop. But with that being said, we have the 12-Volt Clean Wire Club on Facebook. Is a group that Fernando and I are, well, it's ours. We made it up. It's us. It's the friend from down under, Clint. And the three of us just have fun with it. And every week, Fernando scours the page to find the photo of the week, which gets thrown at the top. And this week, we have this guy here, which is really nice. It's this.
Yes.
Where's this brought to us from? Who did this?
Pierce. He did the that install, and Ken Ward actually shared it. So
Ken Ward shared it.
Ken Ward shared it.
For those of you guys that don't know who Ken Ward is, shame on you. But he's the Educar guy.
Yeah.
So Pierce did this at Musicar.
1992 Prelude.
Jeff, you're just throwing us off, Mir.
I like it.
I'm thinking like an old Alpine system would probably be the way to go.
Oh, that would
You know, like a 7909, maybe a 190,
Old
an
retro
ERE,
style, yeah.
or an ER, is an EREG 190 EQ would be cool.
What kind of speakers?
Speakers. That's a tough one. I would see if I could find something underneath my bed to throw in there. Anyways, thank you so much for sharing this with us, Ken Ward, and of course Pierce for winding it up. Musicar did a fabulous job as always. Yep. This is a full Audison system. This has the SR amplifiers along with their new DSP 3.0 software on the Virtuoso. Thank you for saving me on that one because I was not going to remember it.
And the cool thing about it is like the back side is all clean and everything like you see.
Yeah, if you look in the bottom corner, Fernando
Yeah.
did a little picture-in-a-picture action there. So thank you very much for sharing it. If you'd like your picture at the top of the page like that one, make sure you get your wiring in, man. Do sexy clean wiring, and you know, why not? For those of you that don't know who Ken Ward is this guy right here, Educar at teachable.com. This is if you want to learn how to do DSP. It's $20 a course. There's 3 courses on there. It's worth the $60. You can become a master DSP person just as good as Jeff Smith, right, everyone? And for those of you that would like to, I'm joking, but for those of you do, it's a really good course. I've sat through 2 of them. I haven't had time for the 3rd, which is really depressing. And for those of you that would like to improve your clean wire to possibly get to the top of the page like that, make sure you head over to mobilesolutions-usa.com because there you can pick up the wire ruler, available in 5 awesome colors. For those of you that are waiting for the green like this or blue, possibly red, they are getting shipped out hopefully tomorrow. So I know there are some left, but their supplies are running low. So make sure you pick your color up today and make your wire look nice, sexy, and clean. And with that...
Alright, I started noticing that you guys have been running separate power wires instead of one wire and a distribution block. Is there a particular reason for this?
That? Yeah. Actually, we did it like once. We haven't done it in a really long time. We had to do it once the other day, so that would have been someone watching 5 Minutes with 5 Star on Instagram caught that. So, and for those of you that don't watch the 5 Minutes with 5 Star, I'm sorry, I don't mean to be cutting promos like every second here, but we do a lot of content. We do a lot of content. On Instagram, we do 5 Minutes with 5 Star. That's the show that goes up on Mondays. But the reason why we ran dual wire as opposed to one big wire is a couple different reasons depending on the scenario that we're in. In some cases, when we're putting an amplifier underneath a driver's seat, amplifier underneath a passenger seat, it is way easier to run 2 power wires out to the battery because at some point we have to put a distribution block in there and it takes up too much room and it's not totally necessary. Where both amps require a 4 gauge, we can run their own wires out and then put either a distribution fuse holder underneath the hood and or 2 fuse holders underneath the hood. It makes for a much cleaner, safer installation. Another time we run into like, oh man, why did we run 2 power wires, is because we look at the amount of room that we have to actually run the power wire, and sometimes a garden hose just will not fit underneath where we're going to be putting our wire. Whereas 2 4 gauge sit lower and will fan out, those will fit. Another situation where you'll see us run 2 power wires if we're doing like, let's say the kicker key amps. We're doing the 200.4 and the 500.1. One takes a 10 gauge, one takes an 8 gauge. We could do power distribution fuse holder with those and run a 4 gauge, but really at the end of the day, it's cheaper for the customer, and also they are so small just to run individual power wires out. It doesn't take us any extra time to do that, and it does save the customer money because 1 4 gauge with power distribution and fuse holders and all these things, that's going to cost a lot more money as opposed to just the 2. So there's 3 different scenarios in which case we will decide to run multiple power wires. That is not to say that is all of them, but those are the 3 that pop into my head right now.
What's up, Mike?
No doubt. What is up, Mike?
Best place to ground my amplifiers behind the second row seat of the 2003 Suburban without drilling any holes in the floor.
Well, depending on how long your power wire is, which you can make it as long as you want, pull the car apart and find a factory ground point. There's one somewhere that you can attach to. There might even be one in the A pillar,
I think
or
it's
the
like,
B pillar. I think there's one in the B pillar.
Yeah.
There might be. I don't know. The cars
Yeah.
confuse me. But I think there is one in the B pillar that you can
So-
go right to.
So it's
A is the front one,
C.
B is the next one, C is all the way in the back.
Okay, so going to the in between the B and the C, of course.
It's the door. Well, the B and the C would be the door.
Well, yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Well, I believe there's
and
one
the-
on the B pillar, and there is also one high up on the C
on the
pillar.
C. Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
So
And
if
that
you
would
make
be
your-
the factory one.
Yeah, if you make your ground wire longer, then you can easily get to one of the factory ground points. I like this question here. Any way to put a system in a 2021, I don't know, 2021 F-150 without spending $2K? It's very simple to do that because you're easily going to spend $4,000 or $5,000, so you have nothing to worry about. You can spend as much as you want. Was that not the question? I don't think that was the question.
No.
I think the question is, can I spend less money on that? And the reality is, yes and no. It really just depends on what you're trying to do. If you want a substantial sound difference between what comes with it from the factory and what you're trying to do, the chances are probably no. The factory system doesn't suck that bad, and you paid more for the factory system than you did the $2,000 that you're willing to spend. However, we won't discount the fact that, hey, I want to make it sound better. Something easy enough to do, first off, would be to add a subwoofer. Rockford makes the P300 8-inch, which is an amplified 8-inch subwoofer that would fit up underneath that back seat and would immediately give you that deep bass that you're longing for. And there, keep in mind, we're shooting for a $2,000 budget here. 210s and an amplifier, that's out of the question because we're shooting for $2,000 bucks. So that you're at like $1,200 to $1,500 on. Even if you go full discount, you're still going to spend $1,000 bucks by the time you get it installed. Whereas if you do like an 8-inch and an amplified pre-made enclosure, you're going to be into that $400 or $500 range by the time you buy all the power wire and installation and stuff like that.
I don't know, man. I think like $2K.
$2,000 is pushing it. It's really pushing it.
It's just not.
As far as getting the rest of it to sound better, something like a kicker key 400.2 on a set of really nice 6x9 components up front would finish off the system, and that would get you into a really good sounding, very basic system. You would not have the budget to get into the rear speakers, and also adding in maybe some sound treatment would be questionable, but I would definitely go for the fast strings. The point of this is if you're really trying to get a substantially better sounding system, $2,000 is going to be tough. Not undoable, but tough. There's also the consideration of what are you looking for in a system. If you're looking for, let's say, loudspeakers and stuff like that, well then definitely. If you're just looking for a really basic system that's just louder than what you have, maybe just think about adding a 5-channel amplifier to the existing speakers and making the system just overall louder. That's a possibility too. A small, like Kenwood makes the X801 or 802.5. It's a nice small 4-channel amplifier. There again, put something like a single 10 or a single 8 underneath the back seat. That might get you the volume you're looking for. You're not, you're not replacing speakers. But there's a lot of alternatives. It's just, there again, mild to wild. How crazy do you want to get?
And I think you just answered the same question of Thomas that he had about the F-150 too. So that was
Two F-150s?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Have you guys installed a system in a 2012 Mercedes-Benz GL350 without the Harman Kardon system and with the rear seat entertainment?
Have you?
No.
I have no idea.
No. I mean,
I don't know why you read that one.
I
mean, pre-read it. You know,
I know.
honestly, I have no idea if we've ever installed in that car before. We've installed in plenty of Mercedes-Benzes. If there was a question there, that was a bad question to read. No offense, buddy.
No, I mean,
because it didn't go anywhere. I honestly don't remember the car. If you're trying to find parts for that car, as far as whether or not somebody makes integration pieces for it, a great place to go and find out is head over to pack-audio.com. Maestro iDataLink, but really the Nav TV one there is going to be the company that makes products for that. You could also check out Spiral Audio, which I need to add to that list because that is also a place to go. Mr. Lance Doss, the boss. What is up, my friend? How are you doing?
Yeah.
You'll see the wire carrier down there across the bottom of the screen. For those of you that don't know, it is the last week to take advantage of the Get Jacked t-shirt that we have available to you on WireCare. If you'd like to get it, all you have to do is spend 25 bucks. To do that, go to www.wirecare.com/5-star, spend the $25, put in the size shirt that you want, and it will take care of it for you. It's a pretty cool shirt. If you haven't seen it, you can also find it when you go to the website. It'll pop up right when you type in 5-star there. So make sure you guys head over there and do that.
All right. Can you ban past two-way coaxial speakers turning into a mid on a DSP? Keep getting confusing answers.
Ooh, John. Well, here's the thing. The answer to the question is yes and no. Oh my gosh. And here's where the confusion falls in. A DSP can do what you're asking, meaning any channel on a DSP has the option to be a, okay, on most DSPs, we're just going to kind of group together in the greater than 80% here, has the option to band pass a channel, meaning you can have a top mid bass or a top low pass and a bottom high pass for your speaker. The problem lies in, you just said you have a set of coaxials. It depends on the channels you have available to power those coaxials. When you're going to power just a specific mid bass with a band pass crossover on it, you need to make sure it is on its own channel. There's no way to have it power the tweeter because you're blocking that tweeter frequency. So you'll have to have a 4-channel amplifier to do a set of components up front with a high pass crossover for the tweeter and a band pass crossover for the mid-range. That is how that is done, removing that passive crossover from there. If that's what you were planning on doing, the answer is yes. If that's what you weren't planning on doing, then the answer is no. What is up, Mel? Mr. World Record Holder himself. Mr. Trophy Man. I still feel bad. We've got this little trophy, and he's getting these like giant trophies, man.
Yeah,
he's the man. Hey, been a while. Hoping to make it out to Florida soon. When you're in town, man, you'll be right here. Be right here, and we'll be talking to you.
There you go.
Because I just want to hear the lifestyle of the SPL world that you have just taken down and just had so much fun with. So that conversation I want to have with you desperately.
Alright, speaking of distribution blocks, do you use the Addison Fuse distribution block? Curious.
We have them in stock. It's big. So there's only so many installations that we can use those for because they are so big. And if you've ever seen our installations, you notice how tight and compact and very efficient our wiring is done. Having a lot of real estate usually isn't something we run into all that often. We do use some of their standalone fuse holders that allow us, because they're really tiny and cute, they go 4 or 8 gauge, and they have bus bars that allow us to make distribution blocks out of them. So some people have seen them and they've been like, how come there's only one power wire going into this, and blah blah blah, and it's like, because there's bus bars inside of the fuse holders. It's kind of like the Stinger X series. Actually, the Stinger X series is kind of like those because they came out first, but it allows you to stack them next to one another. But yes, we have them. We have them available. If somebody wants one, we can put one in if we have the room.
I have a 2018 Honda Civic non-premium system. I want to run the tweeters active from the cell panel to the D6-1200. How can I do that?
You have to run a wire to them. It's that simple. I mean, anytime you want to run a set of speakers active, there has to be a wire that connects to both leads, meaning you have to run wires into the door if they're in the sail panel, which would be that little corner of the door where the mirror goes. You'd run a wire up to those, and then you'd have a wire that goes to the mid bass. You already have one wire in the door for the mid bass. If you want to use that one to power your tweeter and run a bigger one to the mid bass, or however you want to do it, but yes, you will need a second pair of wires into the door to create that ability to do that. And that takes us to the 20-minute mark. And you know what that means, Fernando?
Yes.
That means it's time for fundamentals of car audio.
Yeah.
I think this is what I meant to do.
There you go.
Fundamentals of Car Audio is it's where we take a definition and we have all kinds of fun with it. And with that, we are going to head over to the PowerPoint presentation, or in my case, because I'm an Apple user, the Keynote presentation. Let's get rid of that. Hold on. Wait. This is my first time, guys. This is my first time.
Yeah.
I should have known. Okay.
Woohoo!
Yep. Hold on. Bear with me. Technical difficulty. There we go.
Oh.
All right. Laptop.
Not that one.
Not that one. We want to go to.
There you go.
There it is. Yay. Laptop. Today we're going to be talking about speaker wires, power wires, accessory wires, all those silly wires that come off the back of the radio. And yes, what you're looking at here is a representation of everything that is on or used in a radio harness now. It is not just the simple 8 speaker wires, 3 power wires, illumination, and an amplified antenna adapter. Those don't exist anymore. We're going to talk about this for the next couple minutes, so hold your questions while we cover this, and then we'll hop back on and answer some more questions for you. What are all the wires for on my radio? Cars are getting more complicated, and so are aftermarket radios. To adapt to them, they need to interface with more than just basic systems. This has added more wires to the power plug. You like the rainbow effect there?
Yeah.
That was to mimic all the different colors of wiring. We break down the wiring into a couple groups to make sense of it all. So basically what we're saying here is that there's a lot of wiring, and to help yourselves out, put them into smaller groups to wrap your head around it. First is speaker wires. Solid color is positive, black stripe is negative. White is the driver's front, gray is the passenger front, green is driver's rear, purple is passenger rear. There's 8 wires right off the bat. We've just tackled, we've made a mess of it all. And here we go. Main power wires. This is where it gets a little bit more fun. The 3 main power wires are yellow is constant 12 volts, red is accessory power, and black is ground. Now, a lot of people confuse accessory and ignition. There is a difference between the two. Accessory loses power while the key is cranking to start the car. Ignition keeps power through crank. Most radios are going to be hooked up to accessory power because they don't want to take that jolt while the car is starting, and or you don't want the power to keep the stereo on through start. You might not have it. So depending on your vehicle, that's why that is like that. Then we have the basic accessory wires. That is, orange is illumination, orange white is dimmer sometimes. These are 2 of the wires that get kind of screwed up a lot depending on the harness manufacturer. And Alpine takes it to a whole nother level because Alpine uses orange white as a reverse trigger, but they're the only ones that do like go really far left like that. But in the factory harness, sometimes you'll see an orange wire, and that is actually illumination, and sometimes you'll see an orange white wire, and that will be illumination. But the real definition of what they're supposed to do is orange white is supposed to be dimmer. Radios can't use dimmer wires because they change voltage as you turn the intensity of your dash up and down, and they're not set up to do that. It's just a toggle on and a toggle off. You can't adjust the intensity from that switch. Most radios give you the ability to go into the radio and turn the dimmer up or down, but it has to be done that way and not through the actual wire. Blue, solid blue wire, is power or amplified antenna. Most cars nowadays have this wire back in the harness because they're using the amplified antenna, not the power antenna. I don't think I've seen a car with a power antenna in a long time. Have you? I mean, it's just all the old 90s stuff, some early, late 2000s.
Yeah.
Blue-white is amplifier turn-on. In some of the older harnesses, these 2 wires are interchangeable, meaning there'll be a blue wire on the harness or a blue-white wire on the harness, and it'll do both the amplified antenna or power antenna and the amplifier turn-on. If your harness has these and there's a wire on the other side when you're checking, make sure you hook them both up. Especially that blue wire, because your FM will suffer greatly if you don't. Navigation wires. This is something that the kit manufacturers have adopted and they use in the harnesses. They'll usually put a flag around it and say these are the navigation wires. Basically, they're just the wires that are typically created in the smart harness. And those are brown, which is phone mute. Very little use for this anymore, but you'll find it on a lot of the harnesses. This was a wire that was created to mute the amplifier. Back when cell phones used to integrate into a car, the phone would ring and it would mute the system so that you could talk on the phone. Like literally talk on the phone, not like hands-free and stuff like that. The wire has just kind of stuck around in a lot of the harnesses though because of it. Purple-white is reverse trigger. This is another one that gets kind of weird depending on the harness manufacturer. But purple-white is the factory color for reverse. Pink, VSS or vehicle speed sense. This is one of those wires that just keeps popping its ugly head up, and I wish it would just disappear. But the purpose for it was, when it first came out, it was so that we could use navigation systems in cars. They didn't track very well because the receiver or antennas weren't that good. They've gotten a lot better since then, and the need for it has slowly started to go away. Thanks to Apple, though, they kind of drug it back up because they were complaining about satellite reception, and they were like, hey man, we need a way to track better. That way people don't complain. It's not the phone's fault, it's your radio and your dash's fault. So they made the manufacturers bring back the VSS wire. Kenwood, of course, said, no, we'll just use a better GPS antenna and that'll fix the problem. That's why on some of the Kenwood models, you don't have to worry about connecting it. And this mainly has to do with the wireless version of it. When you do a wired version of Android Auto or Apple CarPlay, the phone is usually out. It's wireless where it's not going to be seen anywhere, and it's not using that onboard GPS to do it. It's using one built into the radio that it's attached to. Pioneer, when you hook up, if you don't hook up the VSS wire, they have done an update to get a better GPS antenna in there. However, they still have a warning that pops up every time you go to use it that says this, and it's just really annoying. But hopefully the next iteration of it, that'll go away. Light green is emergency brake. Depending on the manufacturer, this could get complicated. Some need on, off, on every time the car resets. Some it can easily be grounded, just like it was connected to an emergency brake. The nice thing is that the emergency brake wire is slowly but surely becoming a wire that is really not needed that much anymore, because a lot of these radios are coming with no DVD, CD player, and you're not watching movies on these and doing silly stuff like that. So the e-brake getting connected to an actual e-brake wire to where when you need to access those menus, you just simply press it in, is making more sense all the time. Yellow-black is foot brake. This is something that is left over from Alpine, however, has become popular again, especially in the Jeep market, because depending on the backup camera, some of these backup cameras now have third brake lights built into them, and the yellow-black wire is the wire that provides that feed to that if you're hooking it up. Yellow-blue is also e-brake. This is something that Alpine does because, hey, it's Alpine and we can be different. Navigation wires. These are the true navigation. Why did I read it twice? Oh, that's supposed to say steering wheel wires. My bad. Most cases, steering wheel wires are pretty straightforward. In this case, Kenwood and JVC use a blue-yellow wire that sometimes gets confused with remote turn-on and or power antenna. It is a light blue. It is not a dark blue like those two. This wire is because they don't have a aux jack style connector on the back of the radio. Another wire that is becoming popular in Fords is a pink-red wire. This is because certain Fords, because of their expensive system that they have, their sync system, in order for the phone buttons to work, you have to run over and tap into the sync module, and that is done using a pink-red wire. Last but not least is navigation wires, in the sense that these are wires that are data connections that connect into the car. You have CAN high, CAN low. They are brown, red, and brown, yellow. CAN high is red, CAN low is yellow. These are the wires that are going to create these navigation wires located here. They're not on the they're not in the harness. They need to be created through a smart module that talks to these wires in order to create that data. And that is the new wiring for your car.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah.
I know.
That's pretty good.
It just got ridiculous. Okay, moving on.
All right. Have you guys had a chance to install a Morel Virtus Nano Carbon two-ways? How is the performance of the mid-bass compared to the normal Virtus 602s? Since the Nano is so thin, I feel the impact of the mid-bass might be not as good as the normal Virtus.
We actually have a set of those installed, and we did a video on it, I believe. Did we do? It was in a Honda Accord, where we went with those because it's just typically it was way easier to put in the Honda Accord. We didn't have to do any cutting or anything like that. They screwed right in, and we kind of talked about it there. In that, you know, if you're looking for that like really deep mid bass, yeah, there is a certain amount of it that does fall off. But we cross our speakers over at 80 hertz and below. And truthfully, if you were to hear the difference between the two, I would venture to guess you may not be able to tell the difference between them. That speaker is pure magic. Okay, it is pure magic. If you've heard anyone that has ever had them, if you get the opportunity to hear them, you'll be blown away by actually how low those things play.
And the Honda Accord, the door is big.
Oh, it's really big.
So
it created one heck of an amazing sound.
They sound really good.
But there again, it's a utilitarian speaker that has a purpose in its life, and if you use it for that purpose, you'll not be disappointed. We even, in that little bus we did, we put them up. Dude, we put them right up against the wall in that thing. Like, no, it sucked. And wow, the amount of sound that came off of those in the mid-bass form. We actually did the components in that one. You know, they make it in a coaxial or Integra version now. It's an impressive speaker to say the least, guys.
Definitely.
To say the least.
Are the sound digital amplifiers as good as the audio controller Rockford Fosgate? Thinking about asking them because of the size. They are good.
Okay, good.
They are awesome. I have them in my car, and they're really nice. So, yeah.
Let me read this one real quick. What gauge speaker wire do you prefer for subwoofers 500 watts RMS? Well, this would be a good time to take a look at one of the sponsors for the show. That is audiocontrol.com. Do you have the camera all set and ready to go? This is what I like to do when connecting up a speaker wire that is 500 watts around. This is the new D5 1300. That's right, guys. The 5-channel with the DSP built into it. As you can see there on the right side, that little red and black wire there, that is a 12 gauge. For that, we've run two 12 gauge. I run a red, I run a black. I don't actually use a speaker wire. It's a primary wire, and the reason why I do that is because it makes it a lot more flexible. For making turns, running it through the loom that we have, because we make a whole umbilical cord using that from tip to tip, and it just bends a lot easier and it looks a lot nicer. 12 gauge like that is our most common thing used. However, if we need to go up from there, let's say we have a 1000 watt amp, we'll go to a dual 10 gauge. But 12 gauge is usually, you know, pretty accurate, pretty good. We'll use it up to 800 watts, depending on how long the wire has to be. In this case, the wire is going to be about 6 feet, which will be plenty to run from there. But for those of you guys that have been waiting for this amp to come out, this is the new 5-channel with DSP built into it. That's it.
It is nice.
Thank you so much for playing along. If you'd like to find out more about audio control, head over to www.audiocontrol.com.
Yes. Hey guys, it's 1-inch expanded PVC thick enough for my amp rack that will be mounted on the back of the subwoofer box. 2 amplifiers that are fairly large and a DSP.
Yeah, definitely. You know, the one thing I can tell you is, depending on the amplifier manufacturer, a lot of amplifier manufacturers saying, please, for the love of God, don't mount your amplifiers to the back of your box. If by any way you can make the amplifier set up, maybe build it as an L so that it is not attached to the subwoofer enclosure, you'd be better off. But a 1-inch thick piece is pretty substantial. I can't think of any time we've actually built an amp rack out of 1 inch. Most will use is 1/2 inch, but I mean, if you're thinking that's going to be your insulator between the amp rack and the box, well then 1 inch is definitely, you know, use the biggest you can get and move on from there. If the amplifiers are super heavy, then yeah, I could see where some 1 inch might be nice.
LC5 1300, it's enough to run a Seal L7T?
Yeah, I mean, I have the L7T in the back of Haley's car right now, running off the Key 501, so it's getting the 500 watts there, and it is plenty of bass. I mean, it's almost like she didn't pay for all that bass.
Yeah. All right.
Audio control, I'm sorry, JL Audio Tweak 88 or Audio Control DSP. I have them both. I have both of those DSPs, and like we tell everybody, download the software, see which one makes sense to you. They're both great DSPs. They both basically do the same features. Neither one of them has, like, one is a parametric EQ, one is a graphic EQ, and that would be the big difference between the two. The JL Audio has a 10-band parametric EQ. The Audio Control has a 30-band graphic EQ. When using an RTA, you know, it's the same lines. When using the JL, you have to understand what adjustable Q, adjustable frequency, as well as up and down mean. If that, like, whoa, then you might want to go Audio Control. Both of those are the two DSPs, however, that will work on Windows and Mac, which in my mind are awesome. Like, thank you guys for taking a stance and doing that. So there's nothing there to worry about. You can use any computer you want. But yeah, play with it. See what you like.
All right, so I got a D6-1200 for my 2017 Fusion Sport with a premium sound system, and I want to omit
Get rid of
the Sony DSP entirely because I'm running a KX 1600.1 as well as I don't want another battery. The alternator is 210 amps, force can to remove the EQ and flat the signal. I recently don't want to spend $500 and on a CAN bus interface. How can I? I'm going to have to, or that I might have to.
Well, you might have to. Here's the thing. When it comes to something like that, using ForceScan or doing any one of those programming features into the car to remove out or rechange or something like that, that's not anything we get involved in because we carry the manufacturers that make the adapters that go into it. I understand they're expensive, but you've already spent a ton of money, so it kind of falls into that, like, really? If the easiest way to figure out if what you've done has worked is get a T-harness from somebody, Metra made a Ford T-harness, and check the output of the radio, or just, you know, take your voltmeter and go to the back of the radio and see what's happening on the output of the radio. If it has, you know, variable voltage output that's 2 to 4 volts, and then your ForceScan thing worked. At that case, all you have to do is solder on some RCAs, and you're done. However, the Sony system is unique in that it talks between the radio and the amplifier. So that's what that module is designed to do, is talk to that. And I don't know how I don't know how what you've done is going to work because we've never tried to do that. We've just used the right pieces that are available to us to make it work. So it's not saying yours won't work, but there is testing you can do to find out if it actually did what you want it to do.
Do you know when is the audio control going to be available?
For what?
DM link. The DM link. For the
oh,
audio
for
control.
iData? It's days. When I was talking iData last week, they're like, we're like...
So they're working on it.
I think it's the end of the month.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think it's the end of the month.
So next week?
Yeah. I think it's next week. I mean, we have the cable because they sent us one, but I think it's next week.
Okay.
Waiting for AR Meister to do yes, yep, exactly. I think it's next week. I don't know when the harnesses are going to ship, but yeah, I'm thinking it's next week. Will you consider doing an IB install? The problem, infinite baffle.
Oh, okay.
The problem with doing an IB install has nothing to do with whether we would like to do it or not. Is that we're not set up to do that kind of install. We don't build boxes, so we're not going to be able to build out the car in order to do an IB install. Now, if somebody has that done, obviously they just need us to wire it up and put it in. Yeah, why not? But it's not what we do. So that's pretty much it there. Before we go any further, let me shut this off. This takes us to the 40-minute mark, and at the 40-minute mark, we like to do this guy here, which is Spotlight time. That's right. That's a time where we take cool things that we found throughout the week, throughout the month, throughout whatever, and we talk about them for a couple minutes just to let you guys know about cool things in car audio. One of the cool things in car audio that we found by talking with other people, listening to shows, and just generally having, getting out there, is you guys like music, and you guys like good music. Finding good music can be a real pain in the butt. The other thing, too, is finding good music and knowing what you're listening to can be a major pain in the butt. Well, recently, we came across this thanks to the guys over there, Matt Schaefer and Gary Bell, in their podcast. Matt was talking about this NPR, which is Tiny Desk Concerts. And you can find it at NPR Music, and scroll down, and you have these songs that like everyone has made. Like there's somebody for everybody on here, and to be honest, once you start going down this road, you just fall in love with all of it. I mean, it's just like so nice. It's recorded extremely well. Like the sound quality on this is not like YouTube music. NPR apparently knows somebody at YouTube and was hooked up because these things sound great. What makes them neat, and this is what I thought was intriguing, and Matt was talking about how they kind of just like took their phone and put it up on the dash where the center channel will be, and when they go wide on the shot, you can literally see where these instruments are playing in your car, which is what Fernando and I were doing. And like you can tell, hey, look, the bassist is over on the passenger side, the regular guitar guy is over here on the right, the keyboard guy is behind the drummer, and you if your car is set up properly, you can see the spaces that these people are filling, and it just makes it really fun to do. T-Pain is hilarious. I'm going to tell you right now, T-Pain is hilarious. Mel has put up a link for us. Thank you, Mel. You're the best.
Thank you, man.
But you guys all need to try this. Find an artist that you like, because I know there's got to be one of them on here, and then just dig deep into the playlist and experiment. There again, you don't have to love the songs. You just have to hear them on your system. Yeah. And just take and appreciate
if you click in one of those videos, sometimes they have like 5 videos in that type of category. So you just go, I just go and click in that one, and I don't like that one.
You just go to the next one.
So it's awesome.
Follow that link that Mel put up there. Download some of these, or just play along and have some fun. Back to the show. Someone asks, do I like to solder or crimp zero gauge? We do whatever works. For a while there, we were soldering them on just because it was such a pain in the butt. But now that we have the big crimpers, we crimp them. I buy copper lugs, put them over, and they do a wonderful job. Before we had the copper lugs, we were soldering on the the standard open end ring terminal styles. You do use a ton of solder to do it. So if you have like multiple, like if you got like 8 of these things to put on, buy a roll of solder. The best thing that I've seen is where I think Soundman, I stole it from him, where he just takes like 10 feet and just twists it down into like a stem this long and just goes and solders it in. But using a torch is definitely the way to go. Yeah, because if you're like trying to do it with an iron,
no,
you're just killing yourself. All night. But I prefer using the hydraulic crimpers, which I believe we do have a link to on DNF Tool Drawer. So if you head over to dnftooldrawer.com, you can find the ones that we use daily.
Alright, Kengo DMX 1057XR and 2 ARC audio amplifiers. 1200.6 and the 1000.1 for the three-way Active setup, front and single sub. Can I run the internal Kenwood DSP until I get the real one? Which DSP would you recommend?
I mean, you got a bunch of ARC stuff. Definitely check out the ARC DSPs because they make some really bomb, excellent DSPs. So I would do that. As far as running the DSP that's in there, of course you can run it. I mean, there's no reason why you can't. Just keep in mind you're going to be limited on what you can do with it because it's literally front output, rear output, and sub output. So even if you're doing full active, it is going to apply the same delay to left for all your speakers and then the same delay to right for all your right speakers. You can't say my tweeter is this, my mid-range is that. You can't do any of those adjustments like that, which doesn't mean it's going to sound terrible. It just means you're limited on functionality. But it's a nice way to get an idea of what a bigger DSP will give you access to. So I say go for it. Use it, have fun. You can't also EQ left, EQ right, or for each position of the car, you're just going to have a global EQ. There again, not the end of the world. You can still have a lot of fun with it and still make things sound really good.
Nando, what is your go-to interior rattle stopper? Headliner, rattle by sunroof.
Oof. I drive around with my hand up like this. I mean, sometimes you have to get creative when it comes to solving problems like that. Yeah. Obviously, something like, you know, sound treatment of any kind that has the butyl and the foil on it is great. It is very purposeful and very utilitarian, and you can do a lot of things with it. However, in some cases, you can't use it. In that case, you have to get creative. Home Depot and Lowe's are filled of neat things to help you be creative. Air conditioner tape is one of my personal favorites. The good air conditioner tape, not the inexpensive stuff. And by that, I mean the stuff that has the aluminum, basically what is on the outside of the butyl. Using that to do a lot of neat little things with it because it is metal and you can use multiple layers of it. You can create some really nice anti-vibration things with it. And then you have the weather treatment section where you have all different kinds of foam and rubber and stuff like that, which yeah, a lot of that stuff you can find something that will solve the problem that you need. AC tape is a good SPL trick. Thomas,
yes, I heard that song. It's really nice, man.
What's that?
Yes, Mala Rodriguez. It has a good mid bass.
Would you use another Ground Zero Pro kit for the cargo area of a Subaru Outback or just Butyl Ballistic? Anytime there's panels and metal, I would use a Sound Digital kit because it comes with everything. You know, if you got panels that are in there that are covering something, like plastic panels or something like that, yeah, it's totally worthwhile. Yeah. If it's just carpet back there, I would probably just get the butyl stuff because at that point you're just trying to make the metal, you know, more rigid and, you know, not move as much. So, yeah, there you go.
Yeah, or the Ultimate, the Stinger Ultimate.
Oh, yeah, that's nice too because it has the foam on it.
Yep, exactly. Outside of
no, my left arm is getting tired of holding the headliner. Yeah, exactly.
I just grab a 2x4, man.
Yeah, just umbrella.
Dude, then I don't know.
You lost it? Go ahead. Yeah. You can pick one. There's a bunch on there.
Well, hang on. I was see. Who makes other than K2s? Who makes 2-ohm speakers or 3-ohm speakers?
Of that quality? Not many. I don't know if any of the top of my head that are like K2 style components. However, if you're just looking for a 2 or 3-ohm speaker, Audison has those in the Prima line for the Forza. They make a 2-ohm speaker there, and of course JBL Infinity make 3-ohm speakers in some of their lines. Those are kind of the two that I will know of off the top of my head. All right, Morel 60 Maximus 602s versus JL Audio. I would totally the Maximus, man. Yeah, no. Best value in audio is those Maximus, and we got it right. It's not with the O, it's with the US. So yes,
the US.
You're not going to be disappointed with the Maximus.
You're definitely going to be happy with those speakers. Yeah,
you will love them.
For the Kenwood KMMBT,
I know what you meant too by the 650, 250 thing.
322, will you use a high level or RCAs? I was told the RCAs are not true preamp. Kenwood KMM BT322. What's a KM?
I think that's that new entry level one, and they're right. It's not a true preamp. However, we ask a lot of questions in the world that don't matter, and we're trying to get the best of something in a situation where the best of the best with honors, sir, is not available to us, and then we worry about the minutia. We install a lot of those radios and we use the RCAs every time. Is it the cleanest radio in the world? No. But I can tell you right now, if you go with the speaker level versus the preamp level, you're going to end up with the same signal no matter what you do. That output through the high level is not any better than the preamp section. They're both okay. Use the preamp section and make your life a little bit easier. That's it.
All right. What give you more bass, sealed or ported?
Ported. It's going to give you. I mean, more bass. Yeah. I mean, yes, you'll get it. You'll depending on where the port is and what frequency you've tuned it to, you're going to get a rise at that frequency, which compared to the same frequency on a sealed box is going to be louder. So therefore, it will be louder to be ported, just by the way the box is built. And you have a hole in the side of it. I think Blam also makes a 2 ohm speaker. I think that's what Nathan is doing there. So you could also check out Blam. If Blam makes one, my guess is that the Blam speaker is going to be a pretty high quality speaker as well. So check those out.
Have you ever had an issue with the Alpine DSP remote commander not connecting to the DSP unit even when the Bluetooth dongle is unplugged?
I've never had a problem with it unplugged or plugged in. Like, mine always connected and worked. Mm-hmm. My biggest problem was the Bluetooth sucked. Like, I got the Bluetooth to pair like the first couple weeks I had it, and then after that I never got it to pair again.
Oh, so that was backwards.
Yeah, and we never used it for Bluetooth. Like, we never sold. We would plug it in, but we would never be like, use this. No, don't use this. It sounds terrible.
Yeah. Alright, hang on. You got that one.
AC tape for SPL. If going with SoundQ, don't forget your towel. Towels are wonderful. You can cut a towel up, stuff it into places all the time. One of the other things I used to like to do was buy pillow fill, and in the back corners of the cars, which we see now where they'll stuff foam and stuff like that, I would just take a bag of pillow fill, poke a whole bunch of holes in it so that it would breathe, and I'd compress it down and stuff it into the corner. If I couldn't use a whole bag, then I would take, like little plastic bags and stuff it in that and fill it into the corner, especially if it was going to be somewhere where it was going to get wet and stink.
I got an F-150 with an 8-inch radio. Would you recommend replacing it to the aftermarket?
I like to make questions and answer them in a way that is a little bit broader than what you've asked. So let's look at it like this. You got an 8-inch screen in the dash, regardless of the car you have. The question you always have to ask yourself is this: is what is in the dash not doing what I want it to do? If sound quality is the #1 thing that you're worried about, then yes, replace the radio in the dash. Get the MFT1 kit from iData, put that sucker in there, put a nice Kenwood Exelon XR in there, and get the best sound quality you can out of that to build your system. However, if that's not the case, well then the factory radio actually will sound pretty good going into something like a DSR1 or some form of AR compatible DSP. So then you ask yourself, what feature does this factory radio have or not have that I really want? Do I want wireless CarPlay, wireless Android Auto? If it's an older 8-inch screen, it might not even have CarPlay or Android Auto, in which case, yeah, I'm going to replace it. Or is it just slow and bogs down and it irritates you? These are all little things that you kind of have to weigh. If any of those, the answer is yes, then by all means, switch that thing out and get a better radio and put it in the dash.
I have a 24 Ranger STX Crew. What head unit would you recommend that will let me retain my backup camera, steering wheel controls, and what would you recommend for subwoofer? Since there is a minimal space behind the back seat, would you consider doing a segment on the Ranger?
We've done
one
Ranger so far. It hasn't been a real popular car here.
No.
Everyone's just going for the big F-150. Do you remember? We did a key.
We did a kicker key.
We did a kicker key. We kept the factory radio.
Yep.
I don't think anyone is making a harness for that yet to replace. Yet.
Yeah.
It's using a different harness. I know the harness, I've seen it in the wild, but I haven't seen anyone actually do that yet. I don't know if anybody makes a dash kit for it.
Oof.
But the last one we did, we just did a kicker key. I don't remember, did we do a sub?
That's what I'm trying to remember.
I don't remember if we did a sub or not.
Yeah, I think so.
I don't remember.
Well, if you did a sub, what kind of sub?
Honestly, I don't remember. I just remember getting done going, oh, you know what? It was a single cab and went behind the back seat. I think we did the 8-inch.
Okay. Oh, yes, the power sub?
Yeah, I think we did the 8-inch behind the passenger seat.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it was like a key in that. But it was a regular cab, not the big cab. I haven't even seen the big cab yet.
But you always can call Paul and set an appointment, you talk to the end and see what you guys can come out with.
I don't even know what the back of it looks like. Oh my gosh, you see the time, man?
I know. All right,
all right, one more.
One more.
Make it
Hi,
good.
guys.
Make it good.
What is your favorite replacement speaker for a Jeep Wrangler? Replacing an Alpine Premium speaker. Also, the best sound treatment for the boxes and sound bar. Thanks.
When it comes to the sound treatment for the boxes, we typically just grab a sheet of roadkill with the butyl and the aluminum. So pretty much anyone that makes that or decent quality of that, that's what we stick inside of those and wrap them up nice and tight. Speaker-wise, there's a lot of speakers to choose from. One of the most popular speakers that we've put in that car, there again, it depends on what your criteria is when it comes to Jeep. A lot of people just want this thing loud because the doors are off, the windows are down, and they're just enjoying the weather. We try to go with a loud speaker, in which case we've put a lot of Rockford T2 speakers in there, T2 components up front, coaxials in the rear. Rockford makes an extremely loud speaker for that. One of the speakers we've been talking about replacing that out with is going with the Morel Maximus, because it's a very loud, really good sounding speaker too.
It has a really nice tweeter.
Yeah. And so there again, we've also done a certain portion of those where we've put the Focal Flax in, because the Focal Flax has that nice metal tweeter. It gets really bright, really loud. That's going to be on your more expensive side. And we've done some of the Alpine X-types in there as well. On a more budget-orientated system, where it has the 3.5 up in the dash, we have replaced a lot of those 3.5s with the Kenwood 3.5 coaxial and left the 4-inch mid-bass in the dash because it actually sounds okay. But if you have an older Jeep that has the 6.5, well, you know, then it just depends. But that's it, guys. That's the show. It's Monday, which means we got a whole week of this stuff to go through.
Yes.
And this is going to be a fun week. If everything goes according to plan, on Wednesday, the guys, Hi-Fi Vega and Mr. Big D Wiz, have Willis done all the labs, have Soundman on, I think, this week.
Okay.
I don't know if we're getting our I don't know what's going on Thursday, other than we'll be doing Reverse Polarity with Mr. Hi-Fi Vega and myself on his channel. And then this is the premiere week for Side Jag, which is the new movie review show we're going to be doing over there on YouTube, which we'll talk about later in the week. I didn't think to put the link up to show, but we'll talk about it as time goes on. It's a new half-hour, 45-minute show we're going to be doing after that Thursday show. So a lot of fun, a lot of excitement, of course. Let's head over here back to the laptop. DNF Tool Drawer is a place you can go to find all the cool tools that we use in the installation. So, for example, if you want to pick yourself up a set of hydraulic crimpers, we have links to that. You can also, if you'd like to pick up the cool swag, the cool shirts, things that say 5-star on them, you can find them at Teespring. Go to teespring.com/store/5-star, and I think it's actually just Spring now. You can go to Spring, type in 5-star car stereo, spell it out, and that'll take you to the page here where you can find all the cool shirts that we use. Soundman is confirmed, says Hi-Fi Vega. So on Wednesday night, you will definitely be able to check out Soundman on their show. If anything, it'll just be him and I on Thursday. That's it, guys. That's the show. That's it.
See you guys tomorrow.
We'll see you tomorrow over there on Instagram. We'll show you what's going on with the finish up of the Toyota that's out of frame here. Hopefully we'll be almost done with that tomorrow. We've been filming it, so for anybody that has an Avalon, they're going to be excited.
Yeah. I like it.
That, positive vibes for the week, Dean and Fernando. Thank you, Stefan. Positive vibes to all you guys out there. Go forth, be merry, have fun, make it through the week so that this weekend we can do this all again over there on the YouTubes at 6 o'clock.
Yep.
As always, we'll be doing more Q&A and having lots of fun. You guys are great. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.